Jai Shri Mataji. Good evening, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to this Thursday, 1st of December, in this UK meditation. Where we all can join together, joined at Sasrara. And enjoy the vibrations of the collective. So let's begin by raising our kundalinis together. And putting ourselves in bandhan. Bowing namaste to our Holy Mother. And let's just share a few moments of silence with our hands toward the photo. asking Shri Mataji to come into our hearts. Shri Mataji, we rejoice that we can all come together like this at your lotus feet. With the divine guidance of Sri Ganesha. Sri Ganesha, it was you who led us to our Holy Mother. It was you who enabled our seeking to come to fruition. Praise unto you again and again. Please grant us your innocence, your wisdom, your auspiciousness. Sri Ganesha's mantra once. Om Tvameva Sakshat Sri Ganesha Sakshat Sri Adi Shakti Mataji Sri Nirmala Devi Namo Namah. And silence again for a moment to allow the power of this mantra to come to flower. Sri Ganesha, by uttering your name, divine vibrations begin to flow through us and emanate from us. Our ego gets completely dissolved. You were created from the dust by Sri Mahakali. You are the first deity to be established. You are the first deity to be worshipped. You are the sun and the moon, and like the power of the sun, you shed light upon us. So that this light, like the moon, emanates from us as reflection. The reflection of innocence, which is the driving force of all matter, all living things, all reality. Through our innocence, we become attached only to Mother and easily detached from all else. Jai Shri Mataji. We are here both in the blessings of Saji Yoga because we have sought the deepest satisfaction that is unattainable without Sahaja Yoga. And in the blessing that we have been drawn to the light and we have become the light. O Mother Kundalini, please take us to that place of satisfaction. Let the pure desire to seek only our Mother be awakened by Sri Ganesha. O Holy Mother, it is in answer to that desire, and only in answer to that desire, that you have incarnated on earth to give us our self-realization and lead us safely to moksha in the path of the Kundalini. Let our whole being be pervaded with that same sweet fragrance, O Sri Ganesha, as you have bestowed on Mother Earth. Let us be like so many flowers laid at the lotus feet of our Mother. We have this week seen the birthday of William Blake, the 265th birthday. Of this incarnation of Sri Bhairava, of the Archangel Michael. Who incarnated in a time that was scarcely ready for him. And yet his wisdom and his legacy of words and paintings and drawings survive to this day to enlighten and inspire us. We'll listen now to a portion of a public program talk by Sri Mataji from 1981.
The soil on which he is born, the spiritual value of that, not the material value. And it's so subtle, every word is so subtle, that it's like a chanting. It's like a chanting. You are specially blessed because such a great poet was born in this country. And wherever I go in my series of lectures, at least in one lecture I always mention he has gone into great details, just like Markandeya, another great poet in India who was born thousands of years back. But to realize that this country is the heart of the universe, and here the Jerusalem is going to be. Nobody could have thought 100 years back a thing like that. It's fantastic actually. Even 30 years back nobody could have understood it. Even I would say 10 years back. People would have thought this man is really mad to call this as the Holy Land. It is today the Holy Land. You can see that. Because so many people have got realization in this country. And you are the one who circulate everything. It is the heart. Whatever the English do, whether right or wrong, it all circulates. Though they don't understand the responsibility. Because they don't know it is the heart of the universe. If you do wrong or right, the whole world does that way. People think that among all the Western countries, you are the wisest. That's what they think. I don't know how far you come on. They believe. It's English, see. Even Arabs. If you say it is English, they believe. How far it is true, God only knows. And the values that he cherished, the dreams that he saw, and the aspirations he had were so great that one has to know that there must be something in this land that he aspired. He was not mad in any way. Nowhere, no poet in any country has written like this. It was given him the chance, the authority to say it. That means you must circulate. Circulate with a heart that circulates, caters, looks after the whole body. And once it collapses, the whole body collapses. It's not so. The English heart has to become the heart of William Blake. And not the chicken-hearted one, or the aggressive one, or the hatred-filled pockets, or the hateful ones. Because the blood flows through you. To realize this, to understand this, the responsibility of an Englishman is very, very great. In the heart resides the spirit. Sahaja Yogis know this, that till a certain stage it resides in the heart. So it's a very, very great position you occupy, so that you people become aware. It's important also that you are the cell, the important cells of the heart. Heart doesn't think, does it? It does not think, it loves. It loves. When you think, you must know you are not Englishmen as described by William Blake. But if you love, you are. And love doesn't mean personal love or carnal love or all kinds of ideas of love is charity work. It means the love of the spirit which is awakened within you, which just emits love. Which just emits. It doesn't think, it just emits. It doesn't think that whether it should give to the black or the white, whether it should give it to the rich or the poor. It just loves. It flows. And that is why one should get realization in England. Very important. Without realization, you cannot flow, you cannot give. You will never understand the value of giving. You will never enjoy giving. You will never know the beauty of generosity unless and until you become the cell of the heart. You are the cell of the heart. It's the most important position, as I told you. It's the most vital particle of that heart. And the one who is the heart has to be like a lion. He roared, actually roars. If you read these things, like a lion he roars. He has to be like a lion and not to be frightened, like English language is, I am afraid. It starts with I am afraid and ends with I am afraid. What are you afraid of? Every person is afraid of you. What are you afraid of? You have to change your language. You have to speak like him. The Sahajogis have to speak like William Blake, the way he spoke about his great country, about the soil in which he was born, about the people who will be born here, who will be Sahajogis. He described them so well that men of God will be born on this soil. Men of God. Special. The chosen ones, not those who have branded themselves as chosen. Most of the chosen ones are going towards the hell only. But the really chosen ones will be born on this soil. And they will become prophets. Not only that, but they'll have a special power to make others prophets. He saw this. At that time he could see that you all are going to become prophets and that you all are going to make others prophets. Like one enlightened light enlightens another. He could see it so clearly. What a clear heart he must be having. What a clear vision he must be having. What a clear brain he must be having to receive all this information about today. So you have to become, is the point. You may be God's people, but you have to become a prophet. Unless and until you are a prophet, what's the use of choosing you also? What's the use of your being born here? You all have to become prophets. And to become a prophet, Kundalini has to be awakened, you are to be realized, and you get these special powers to realize others. People can't believe it. That in Sahaja Yoga today, if you get realization, you can give realization to others. When I went to Rome, the people had this doubt I felt. When I said that, next moment you can give realization to others. And they just could not believe it, that they can feel the Kundalini, they can give realization. It's too much to believe it. It's too fantastic. So, the last day, I said, all those who have felt the cool breeze and stand behind the people who have not felt the cool breeze. They're very nice people, I must say, these people in Rome, because I think they have reached the conclusion of complete frustration with their seeking. So they stood up behind each of one of them. And they were amazed. They could raise the Kundalini, they could give realization. They said, Mother, we got realization only yesterday, some of them. I said, so what? You could have done it yesterday, but today you are doing this rather good. You could have done it immediately, but this is what it is, fantastic. So there is no place for you to have any doubts. Don't waste your energy in doubt. You have done that bit too much. Bit too much. Now the time has come for you to get your realization, to get enlightened, to understand it. But there are still people who are on the fence. And they are neither this way or that way. And Christ has described them very well. He said, I don't mind hot or cold. I mean, the people who get the cool breeze, of course, they are first class. Even those who get hot are all right, because they would like to get rid of their hot. But the halfway I don't like, I'll spit them out of my mouth. The ones who go 3 steps forward and 4 steps backwards, such people are really a headache to Sahaja Yoga. If they get out, it is much better. Half-hearted people in Sahaja Yoga are of no use, which was told by Christ long time back. But I don't know if people really realize it or not. And this is the problem I faced in this country bit too much. The maximum in this country, to be very frank. The ego is of a subtle nature, such a subtle nature in this country. Every country has a different type. Like we can say in Spain, it is like the bullfighting. In Rome, it is the artist ego. They think they are great artists. They have a sense of beauty. All sorts of things. But in this country, we must know what sort of an ego you people have. Is thinking that nobody could be better than us. We are the topmost people. You see that upper, what do you call? Upper lip? Upper stiff? Stiff upper lip. Stiff upper lip. I mean, they themselves laugh at themselves, it's a good idea. But it's true, I have seen that. That stiff upper lip is the point. That doesn't make you to smile, laugh. I mean, even if you certify that you can smile now, they would not. That sort of a thing makes you very insensitive. As if the ego comes down from there and settles down on the lip. You cannot, there's no mobility on the lips, nothing. Walk, it's such a terrifying phrase sometimes that you don't know. You find that. It takes nothing to smile, to be congenial. We are all human beings, we are not dogs. That we should bark at each other. That we should be frowned at, that we should frown at each other. First thing we have to learn that we are the heart cells. And that we have to love. Without love, you cannot be called an Englishman according to Mr. William Blake. I won't say anything because I don't want to be angry. According to him. So, first of all, let us know if we can really love ourselves. That's the biggest problem. The first disease he did not know. Perhaps William Blake did not know what I will have to face. I wish he had written all that. The first disease the people have here, apart from the upper lip, is left vishuddhi, means guilt. They may be Catholic or not, does not matter. But they have this built-in guilt within themselves for nothing at all. First of all, you must give up your guilt business. I think he did not know about it. William Blake did not know that people will develop this, because at that time they were not like that. And this is such a big problem which I have been facing since I came to this country. You know, the first 4 years I was struggling with people who were druggists and chemists. And the problem they had that, I said, why did you take drugs? What is there to live in this world for? For what are we living? I said, for your spirit. So they take spirits, you see. English language have a great advantage, see. You can say it is the spirit in the heart, you can say the spiritual tree, or the spirit, that is what we call a bhoot in Indian language, means a dead body, dead soul, a dead person. So this is the advantage, and that's how they were indulging into spirits. But the problem with them is, it was such a vicious circle, that if you try to correct them, they would recede into themselves and get into tantrums and say that we are good for nothing, useless people. Then I would encourage them, say, no, you are wonderful people, it doesn't matter. You don't worry, this, that, every sort of a pampering. Then they would become ego-oriented. It was impossible. And the story of people who are always described in a mathematics paper. You see, when they give you, in they say 7th standard, 6th standard, you get a question like this. A house was to be built, and in that village, one Mr. A came to work. He did only 1/16 of the work and he ran away. Then another came in who did only 1/50th of the work and ran away. And then the third one came who did only the 1/100th of the work and disappeared. So when will the work finish? Never is the answer. If you have all runaways and those who are escapists, how can the work be finished with these people who always escape? Simple answer is never. You may calculate it, go on calculating it. The answer is never is the one. If you want to escape the situation, if you want to escape yourself, if you want to escape the present, you will never reach there where you have to reach. And you are never going to be satisfied with yourself, you are not going to be happy either. So you have to face it. You have to face it as it is and stand up. That's what he said. That you bring the arrow to me, I'll face it. Like a brave man, you have to face it and not to become, I am afraid. You are not to escape yourself. You are so beautiful. Inside, outside, you are very beautiful. You are the spirit. And if you are the spirit, why should you escape yourself? I just can't understand. Just face it. And the spirit will shine. Just face it with that bravery. Face it. And you'll be amazed that you are really beautiful. No doubt about it. You have to just see, because you are the cell of the heart. And it won't be an exaggeration if I say that the body, everything depends on the heart. If you fail, the responsibility will be yours. It's a very big responsibility and a very sweet one. Because heart doesn't think. Thinking is madness. It loves. It loves and enjoys its love. It's such a sweet work you have to do. For that you start from yourself. First of all, love yourself, which is a very difficult thing for people to love themselves. The hatred starts from within. You hate yourself and then you start hating everyone. And it's very common to say, I hate you. Second moment, I love you. God knows what they mean. But the main thing is that they do not love themselves. If they start loving themselves, understanding the value of themselves, if they have the proper esteem, the self-esteem within themselves, it's the time. The time has come, which was prophesied. So, I really pay my all homage, I should say, if you allow me, or I should say all my love to the great son of this country, William Blake, today.
Jai Shri Mataji. So this evening, we also can pay very great tribute and homage to William Blake by recognizing his legacy. No incarnation, apart from Sri Mataji herself, has left us with so many of his words, has shared so much of his wisdom in his writings. And not only his wisdom, but his experiences, his day-to-day experiences of being. This great incarnation in this 18th and 19th century society, which, as I said, was not ready for him, was hostile to him in so many ways. despite that he had such vision, such awareness, he may not have been aware that he was an incarnation in that sense. But he knew he was connected with God, with divinity. Through his imagination, which was in fact the reality. And yet he was surrounded by people who could not or would not understand. So this evening, I want to share with you some dramatized readings from his writings, from various expressions of his frustrations and also expressions of his sublime creativity, which no one and nothing could kill off within him. And when we read Blake's words aloud, we find a tremendous theatricality, tremendous character, tremendous storytelling that sometimes cannot so easily be found when the words are lying flat on a page. When we speak them aloud, when we explore this great incarnation behind the words, then so much is opened up to us. So I'll stop talking about it, and let's now allow ourselves to hear William Blake, not with our minds, but with our hearts. And there will be silences. After each section, we'll just be silent for a while in deep meditation. So don't worry, the transmission is not failing. Blake was an artist and an engraver and a painter for a living, as much as out of the necessity of his heart and soul. He had to make his scratch with that. And it wasn't always easy. I have made a drawing for the Reverend Dr. Trussler in my best manner. He sent it back with a letter full of criticisms in which he says it accords not with his intentions, which are to reject all fancy from his work. Oh, I despair of ever pleasing one class of men. Unfortunately, our authors of books are among this class. How soon we shall have a change for the better, I cannot prophesy. Dr. Trussler says, your fancy, from what I've seen of it, seems to be in the other world, or the world of spirits, which accords not with my intentions, which, whilst living in this world, wish to follow the nature of it. To which I replied, Reverend Sir, I really am sorry that you are fallen out with the spiritual world, especially if I should have to answer for it. I had hoped your plan comprehended all species of this art, and especially that you would not regret that species which gives existence to visions of eternity. You say that I want somebody to elucidate my ideas, but you ought to know that what is grand is necessarily obscure to weak men. That which can be made explicit to the idiot is not worth my care. The wisest of the ancients considered what is not too explicit as the fittest for instruction, because it rouses the faculties to act. I find more and more that my style of designing is a species by itself, and in this which I sent you had been compelled by my genius or angel to follow where he led. If I were to act otherwise, it would not fulfill the purpose for which I alone live. I attempted every morning for a fortnight together to follow your dictate, but when I found my attempts were in vain, resolved to show an independence which I know will please an author better than slavishly following the track of another. However admirable that track may be, I know I begged of you to give me your ideas and promised to build on them. Here I counted without my host. I now find my mistake. I perceive that your eye is perverted by caricature prints, which ought not to abound as much as they do. Fun I love, but too much fun is of all things the most loathsome. Mirth is better than fun, and happiness is better than mirth. I feel that a man may be happy in this world, and I know that this world is a world of imagination and vision. Certainly 18th century London was not an easy place to live. And Blake found it very difficult indeed, but he was also able to see beyond. As illustrated in these two poems about London. The first is very well known. I wandered through each chartered street, near where the chartered Thames does flow. I mark in every face I meet marks of weakness, marks of woe. In every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every ban, the mind-forged manacles I hear. How the chimney sweepers cry, every blackening church appalls, and the hapless soldier's sigh runs in blood down palace walls. But most through midnight streets I hear how the youthful harlot's curse blasts the newborn infant's ear and blights with plagues the marriage hearse. But then he saw beyond. I behold London, a human, awful wonder of God. He says, return, Albion, return. I give myself for thee. My streets are my ideas of imagination. Awake, Albion, awake, and let us awake up together. My houses are thoughts, my inhabitants, affections, the children of my thoughts, walking within my blood vessels in dreams of darkness, while my vegetating blood in veiny pipes rolls dreadful through the furnaces of Los and the mills of Satan. For Albion's sake, and for Jerusalem, thy emanation, I give myself, and these, my brethren, give themselves for Albion. So spoke London, immortal guardian. I heard in Lambeth's shades. In Felpham, I heard and saw the visions of Albion. I write in South Moulton Street what I both see and hear in regions of humanity, in London's opening streets. And Blake at one point decided to leave London behind and move down to the south coast of England, where he spent 3 years in Bognor Regis, in the tiny village of Felpham right next door. And he wrote this beautiful account in the course of a letter to his friend and patron, Thomas Butts, back in London. He would sit on the beach and meditate, and he wrote this account of one such meditation. To my friend Butts, I write my first vision of light. On the yellow sands sitting, the sun was emitting his glorious beams from heaven's high streams. Over sea, over land, my eyes did expand into regions of air away from all care, into regions of fire remote from desire. The light of the morning, heaven's mountains adorning, in particles bright, the jewels of light distinct shone and clear. Amazed and in fear, I each particle gazed, astonished, amazed, for each was a man, human formed. Swift I ran, for they beckoned to me, remote by the sea, saying, each grain of sand, every stone on the land, each rock and each hill, each fountain and rill, each herb and each tree, mountain, hill, earth and sea, cloud, meteor and star, are men seen afar. I stood in the streams of heaven's bright beams and saw Felpham sweet beneath my bright feet in soft female charms, and in her fair arms my shadow I knew, and my wife's shadow too, and my sister and friend. We like infants descend in our shadows on earth like a weak mortal birth. My eyes more and more, like a sea without shore, continue expanding, the heavens commanding, till the jewels of light, heavenly men beaming bright, appeared as one man, who complacent began my limbs to enfold in his beams of bright gold. Like dross, purged away all my mire and my clay. Soft consumed in delight, in his bosom sun bright, I remained. Soft he smiled, and I heard his voice mild, saying, this is my fold, O thou ram horned with gold, who awakest from sleep on the sides of the deep. On the mountains around, the roarings resound of the lion and wolf, the loud sea and deep gulf. These are guards of my fold, O thou ram horned with gold. And the voice faded mild. I remained as a child. All I ever had known before me bright shone. I saw you and your wife by the fountains of life. Such the vision to me appeared on the sea. As a man is, so he sees. As the eye is formed, such are its powers. Dr. Trussler certainly mistakes when he says that the visions of fancy are not to be found in this world. To me, this world is all one continued vision of fancy or imagination, and I feel flattered when I am told so. I see everything I paint in this world. But everybody does not see alike. To the eyes of a miser, a guinea is more beautiful than the sun. The tree, which moves some to tears of joy, is, in the eyes of others, only a green thing that stands in the way. Some see nature all ridicule and deformity, and some scarce see nature at all. But to the eyes of the man of imagination, nature is imagination itself. Thou perceivest the flowers put forth their precious odors, and none can tell how from so small a center comes such sweets, forgetting that within that center eternity expands its ever-during doors that Og and Anak fiercely guard. First, ere the morning breaks, joy opens in the flowery bosoms, joy even to tears, which the sun rising dries. First, the wild thyme and meadow sweet, downy and soft, waving among the reeds, light springing on the air, lead the sweet dance. They wake the honeysuckle sleeping on the oak. The flaunting beauty revels along upon the wind. The white thorn, lovely May, opens her many lovely eyes, listening. The rose still sleeps. None dare to wake her. But soon she bursts her crimson-curtained bed and comes forth in the majesty of beauty. Every flower, the pink, the jessamine, the wallflower, the carnation, the jonquil, the mild lily, opes her heavens. Every tree and flower and herb soon fill the air with an innumerable dance. Yet all in order, sweet and lovely, men are sick with love. Thou hearest the nightingale begin the song of spring. The lark, sitting upon his earthy bed, just as the morn appears, listens, silent. Then springing from the waving cornfield, loud he leads the choir of day, trill, 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 mounting upon the wings of light into the great expanse, re-echoing against the lovely blue and shining heavenly shell. His little throat labors with inspiration. Every feather on throat and breast and wings vibrates with the effluence divine. All nature listens silent to him. And the awful sun stands still upon the mountain, looking on this little bird with eyes of soft humility and wonder, love and awe. Then loud from their green covert all the birds begin their song. The thrush, the linnet, and the goldfinch, robin and the wren awake the sun from his sweet reverie upon the mountain. The nightingale again essays his song, and through the day and through the night warbles luxuriant. Every bird of song attending his loud harmony with admiration and love. Tiger, tiger burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer? What the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil? What dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their tears, their spears, when the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the Lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Such powerful work Blake produced with his pen and with his paintbrush in his paintings, so sublime that we can only stand and look at them in awe today and hear his words. He knew what he had. He knew the gift that he had. And it was damned frustrating to live in a society on whom most of it was lost. How is it possible that a man almost 50 years of age, who has not lost any of his life since he was 5 years old without incessant labor and study, how is it possible that such a one with ordinary common sense can be inferior to a boy of 20, who scarcely has taken or deigns to take a pencil in hand, but who rides about the parks or saunters about the playhouses, who eats and drinks for business, not for need? How is it possible that such a fop can be superior to the studious lover of art? Can scarcely be imagined. Yet I laugh and sing. For if on earth neglected, I am in heaven a prince among princes, and even on earth, beloved by the good as a good man. This I should be perfectly contented with. But at certain periods, a blaze of reputation arises around me in which I am considered as one distinguished by some mental perfection. But the flame soon dies again, and I'm left stupefied and astonished. Oh, that I could live as others do, in a regular succession of employment. This wish, I fear, is not to be accomplished to me. Oh, why was I born with a different face? Why was I not born like the rest of my race? When I look, each one starts. When I speak, I offend. And then I'm silent and passive and lose every friend. Then my verse I dishonor, my pictures despise, my person degrade, and my temper chastise. And the pen is my terror, the pencil my shame. All my talents I bury, and dead is my fame. I'm either too low or too highly prized. When elate, I am envied. When meek, I'm despised. And Blake drew an analogy between himself and a sweet, gentle, genuine, beautiful woman who gives from her heart. In this incredible poem called Sweet Mary. Sweet Mary, the first time she ever was there, came into the ballroom among the fair. The young men and maidens around her throng, and these are the words upon every tongue. An angel is here from the heavenly climes, or again does return the golden times. Her eyes outshine every brilliant ray. She opens her lips, it's the month of May. Mary moves in soft beauty and conscious delight, to augment with sweet smiles all the joys of the night, nor once blushes to own to the rest of the fair that sweet love and beauty are worthy our care. In the morning, the villagers rose with delight, and repeated with pleasure the joys of the night. And Mary arose among friends to be free. But no friend from henceforward thou, Mary, shalt see. Some said she was proud, some called her a whore, and some, when she passed by, shut to the door. A damp cold came o'er her, her blushes all fled. Her lilies and roses are blighted and shed. Oh, why was I born with a different face? Why was I not born like this envious race? Why did heaven adorn me with bountiful hand, and then set me down in an envious land? To be weak as a lamb, and smooth as a dove, and not to raise envy, is called Christian love. But if you raise envy, your merit's to blame for planting such spite in the weak and the tame. I will humble my beauty. I will not dress fine. I will keep from the ball, and my eyes shall not shine. And if any girl's lover forsakes her for me, I'll refuse him my hand, and from envy be free. She went out in the morning, attired plain and neat. Proud Mary's gone mad, said the child in the street. She went out in the morning in plain, neat attire, and came home in the evening bespattered with mire. She trembled and wept, sitting on the bedside. She forgot it was night, and she trembled and cried. She forgot it was night, she forgot it was morn, her soft memory imprinted with faces of scorn. With faces of scorn, and with eyes of disdain, like foul fiends inhabiting Mary's mild brain. She remembers no face like the human divine. All faces have envy, sweet Mary, but thine. And thine is a face of sweet love in despair, and thine is a face of mild sorrow and care, and thine is a face of wild terror and fear, that shall never be quiet till laid on its bier. So Blake lamented his lot. Like everyone else, he only wanted to be accepted and loved and understood. For he had so much to share. Men are admitted into heaven, not because they have curbed or governed their passions or have no passions, but because they have cultivated their understandings. The treasures of heaven are not negations of passion, but realities of intellect from which all the passions emanate in their eternal glory. The fool shall not enter into heaven, be he ever so holy. Holiness is not the price of entrance into heaven. Those who are cast out are all those who, having no passions of their own, because no intellect, have spent their lives in curbing and governing other people's passions, by the various arts of poverty and cruelty of all kinds. Woe, woe, woe to you hypocrites. What is the price of experience? Do men buy it for a song or wisdom for a dance in the street? No. It is bought with the price of all that a man has: his house, his wife, his children. Wisdom is sold in the desolate market where none come to buy, and in the withered field where the farmer ploughs for bread in vain. It's an easy thing to triumph in the summer's sun and in the vintage, and to sing on the wagon loaded with corn. It's an easy thing to talk of patience to the afflicted, to speak the laws of prudence to the homeless wanderer, to listen to the hungry raven's cry in wintry season when the red blood is filled with wine and with the marrow of lambs. It is an easy thing to laugh at wrathful elements, to hear the dog howl at the wintry door, the ox in the slaughterhouse moan, to see a God on every wind and a blessing on every blast, to hear sounds of love in the thunderstorm that destroys our enemy's house, to rejoice in the blight that covers his field and the sickness that cuts off his children, while our olive and vine sing and laugh round our door, and our children bring fruits and flowers. Then the groan and the dollar are quite forgotten, and the slave grinding at the mill, and the captive in chains, and the poor in the prison, and the soldier in the field, when the shattered bone hath laid him groaning among the happier dead. It is an easy thing to rejoice in the tents of prosperity. Thus could I sing and thus rejoice. But it is not so with me. And Blake was capable of very biting satire, as in this piece. And Urizen read from his book of brass. Listen, O daughters, to my voice. Listen to the words of wisdom. So shall ye govern over all. Let moral duty tune your tongue, but be your hearts harder than the nether millstone. Compel the poor to live upon a crust of bread by soft, mild arts. Smile when they frown, frown when they smile, and when a man looks pale with labor and abstinence, say he looks healthy and happy. And when his children sicken, let them die. There are enough born, even too many, and our earth will be overrun without these arts. If you would make the poor live with temper, with pomp, give every crust of bread you give, with gracious cunning, magnify small gifts, reduce the man to want a gift, and then give with pomp. Say he smiles if you hear him sigh. If pale, say he is ruddy. Preach temperance. Say he is overgorged and drowns his wit in strong drink, though you'll know that bread and water are all he can afford. Flatter his wife, pity his children, till we can reduce all to our will, as spaniels are taught with art. And this extract from Jerusalem speaks for itself. Of the sleep of Ulro, and of the passage through eternal death, and of the awakening to eternal life. This theme calls me in sleep night after night, and every morn awakes me at sunrise, and then I see the Saviour over me, spreading his beams of love and dictating the words of this mild song. Awake, awake, O sleeper of the land of shadows. Wake, expand. I am in you, and you in me, mutual in love divine. Fibers of love from man to man through Albion's pleasant land, in all the dark Atlantic vale, down from the hills of Surrey, a black water accumulates. Return, Albion, return. Thy brethren call thee, and thy fathers and thy sons, thy nurses and thy mothers, thy sisters and thy daughters weep at thy soul's disease, and the divine vision is darkened. Where hast thou hidden thy emanation, lovely Jerusalem, from the vision and fruition of the Holy One? I am not a God afar off. I am a brother and friend. Within your bosoms I reside, and you reside in me. Lo, we are one, forgiving all evil, not seeking recompense. Ye are my members, O ye sleepers of Beulah, land of shades. Trembling, I sit day and night. My friends are astonished at me. Yet they forgive my wanderings. I rest not from my great task. To open the eternal worlds, to open the immortal eyes of man inwards, into the worlds of thought, into eternity. But you have so generously and openly desired that I will divide my griefs with you that I cannot hide what has now become my duty to explain. As my dependence is on engraving at present, I find on all hands great objections to my doing anything but the mere drudgery of business, and intimations that if I do not confine myself to this, I shall not live. This has always pursued me. You will understand by this the source of all my uneasiness. For that I cannot live without doing my duty to lay up treasures in heaven is certain and determined, and to this I have long made up my mind, and why this should be made an objection to me, while drunkenness, lewdness, gluttony, and even idleness itself does not hurt other men, let Satan himself explain. The thing I have most at heart, more than life, or all that seems to make life comfortable without, is the interest of true religion and science. And whenever anything appears to affect that interest, especially if I myself omit any duty to my station as a soldier of Christ, it gives me the greatest of torments. I'm not ashamed, afraid, or averse to tell you what ought to be told. That I am under the direction of messengers from heaven, daily and nightly. But the nature of such things as not, as some suppose, without trouble or care. Temptations are on the right hand and the left, behind. The sea of time and space roars and follows swiftly. He who keeps not right onward is lost. And if our footsteps slide in clay, how can we do otherwise but fear and tremble? But if we fear to do the dictates of our angels and tremble at the tasks set before us, if we refuse to do spiritual acts because of natural fears or natural desires, who can describe the dismal torments of such a state? I too well remember the threats I heard. If you, who are organized by divine providence for spiritual communion, refuse and bury your talent in the earth, sorrow and desperation pursues you through life, and after death, shame and confusion of face to eternity. Everyone in eternity will leave you, aghast at the man who was crowned with glory and honor by his brethren and betrayed their cause to their enemies. You will be called the base Judas, who betrayed his friends. Such words would make any stout man tremble, and how then could I be at ease? But I am now no longer in that state, and go on again with my task, fearless. And though my path is difficult, I have no fear of stumbling while I keep it. The nature of my work is visionary or imaginative. It is an endeavor to restore what the ancients called the Golden Age, to cast aside from poetry all that is not inspiration, to cast off the idiot questioner who's always questioning and never capable of answering, who sits with a sly grin, silent, plotting when to question, like a thief in a cave, who publishes doubt and calls it knowledge, whose science is despair, whose pretense to knowledge is envy, whose whole science is to destroy the wisdom of ages, to gratify ravenous envy that rages round him like a wolf day and night without rest. Rouse up, O young men and women of the new age, painters, on you I call, sculptors, architects, all artists, set your foreheads against the ignorant hirelings, for we have hirelings in the camp and the court, the university, who would, if they could, forever depress mental and prolong corporeal war. The last judgment will be when imagination, art, science, all intellectual gifts, all the gifts of the Holy Ghost are looked upon as of no use, and only contention remains to man. Then the last judgment begins. Not fable or allegory, but vision. Fable or allegory are a totally distinct and inferior kind of poetry formed by the daughters of memory. Vision or imagination is a representation of what eternally exists, really and unchangeably, surrounded by the daughters of inspiration, who in the aggregate are called Jerusalem. A last judgment is necessary because fools flourish. That is a last judgment when men of real art govern and pretenders fall. Dr. Trussler, I am happy to find a great majority of fellow mortals who can elucidate my visions, and particularly they have been elucidated by children who have taken a greater delight in contemplating my pictures than I even hoped. Neither youth nor childhood is folly or incapacity. Some children are fools, and some are some old men. But there is a vast majority on the side of imagination or spiritual sensation. I give you the end of a golden string. Only wind it into a ball. It will lead you in at heaven's gate, built in Jerusalem's wall. And did those feet in ancient times walk upon England's mountains green? And was the Holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen? And did the countenance divine shine forth upon our clouded hills? And was Jerusalem builded here, among these dark satanic mills? Bring me my bow of burning gold. Bring me my arrows of desire. Bring me my spear, O clouds unfold. Bring me my chariot of fire. I will not cease from mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. Oh, would that all the Lord's people were prophets. I hear a voice you cannot hear that says, I must not stay. I see a hand you cannot see that beckons me away. Naked we came here, naked of natural things, and naked we shall return. But while clothed with the divine mercy, we are richly clothed in spiritual, and suffer all the rest gladly. Praise unto William Blake. Jai Shri Mataji. I take the mantra of Sri Mahakali Sri Bhairava. Om Tvameva Sakshat Sri Mahakali Sakshat Shri Bhairava Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. So we can finish this evening's meditation in a very simple manner with the mantra that Mother once said is the most powerful of all mantras, the very simple Om Tvameva Sakshat Sri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. And she suggested we could say it 3 times or 7 times. Let's have all 7. Om Tvameva Sakshat Sri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Shri Mataji. Thanks to all who came and brought such heartfelt vibrations. In paying homage to William Blake, as Mother did all those years ago. So let's collectively raise our kundalinis and put ourselves in Bandhan, and I'll put some music on to play us out, and of course you can stay and meditate as long as you wish. Jai Shri Mataji.